The determining if graphs have symmetry with respect to the x-axis and y-axis. What seems to make the most sense for students is when you think about like this graph as if it was a piece of paper. If you can fold it on the x-axis and see the graph making the same shape on both sides, then it has symmetry with respect to the x-axis. So this one doesn't. Right here, let me find. This graph does have symmetry with respect to the x-axis because if you fold it like a piece of paper, this blue line, this blue portion of the graph, would land directly on top of this blue portion of the graph. And then x-axis here, if you try to fold this like a piece of paper right along the x-axis, this peak is going to go up here. They're not going to overlap, so it doesn't have symmetry. They've got to overlap when you think about that piece of paper. Same thing for symmetry with the y-axis. Okay, the y-axis would be if you take the piece of paper going straight up and down and try to fold it, the shape, the graph would have to be doing the same thing. So if you try to fold this side of the paper over onto this side of the paper, the lines don't overlap, so it doesn't have symmetry on the y-axis. If you try to fold this one on the y-axis, this semicircle lands right on top of this semicircle. If you try to fold this on the y-axis, this one's a little trickier, but think this one is 2 hash marks away from the center, which would be pi over 2 with the units that they have. So if you folded it over on the y-axis and flip, that would be 2 pi over 2 units, or in other words, 2 hash marks on the y-axis. That's not going to land on top of something. So this one does not have symmetry about the y-axis. Now, symmetry about the origin means it has symmetry on both the x and the y-axis, okay, where you do a double fold. So if you fold, it doesn't matter which one you do first. If you fold on the y-axis, take the piece of paper and pretend this is going over here. They land on top of each other. And then if you take that remaining semicircle and if you fold it like a piece of paper on the x-axis, going straight up and down, it would make the same shape. So the symmetry about the origin. And then this one here, if you fold it on the x-axis, you can picture this. Oh, man, I got a better idea. I can draw this one. That's my son. Lost a tooth. Sorry about the delay here. I should have had this set up before. I never thought of being able to draw. Okay, so we're doing symmetry about the origin. So if this does have symmetry, let's fold it on the y-axis, okay? So that means you take this shape and it'd be doing the exact opposite going on the y-axis. So it should look like this, peak at the same point, comes down at negative pi now. And then again, 2 units over, it's down to the bottom. That's one fold. And now if you try to fold this graph on the x-axis, okay, doing a second fold on this x-axis here. Like this side's gone, so we don't have to worry about that overlapping. If you try to fold this, it lands right on top of this graph, right? And if you try to fold on the x-axis, this red part right here goes right on top of this blue part. So this one does have symmetry about the origin. Okay, easier said than done, right? Let me see if there's a different one. Yeah, they do a good job of making up different ones every time. So you'll want to apply the same type of thing, okay? This one's going to be just like graph C that we did. So do the same thing with folding on the x and the y. This one, fold on the y. Yeah, you'll want to draw this one out probably too. It's easier for me to draw. So B, I'm drawing B. Here's the line. Okay, so if you fold it on the x-axis, the graph now looks like this, okay, because you flipped the bottom, made it come up top. So it doesn't have symmetry about the x-axis. They didn't overlap. But then look, if you fold it on the y-axis, they are going to overlap. So if you do a double fold, fold it on the x and then fold it on the y, that's symmetry about the origin. So that one's going to have symmetry about the origin, okay? Oh, I can't quit.